Okay, think about flying for a minute.
Yeah.
What's like one thing an airline did that really stuck with you? Good or bad, maybe?
Hmm. Yeah, it's often the small stuff, isn't it? Or sometimes the big stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, today we're zooming in on JetBlue. They have this reputation, right, for actually listening to their passengers.
They really do. And we've got some interesting material here. Uh, Stuff from focus groups, lots of market survey data that kind of peels back the curtain on how they do it.
Yeah, so our mission for this deep dive is pretty straightforward.
Hmm?
Figure out how JetBlue actually uses all that feedback they collect. What people like us say about our flights.
Right, how they turn complaints or suggestions into actual changes
Yeah,
and keep people coming back.
precisely. We'll look at their methods, the results, and yeah, probably some of the bumps along the road too. It's not always easy, I imagine.
Definitely not.
Okay, so let's get into it. How does JetBlue even begin to get a handle on what passengers are thinking?
Well, they kind of tackle it from two main directions. First up, they run these focus groups. Yeah, and they're big markets. And they make sure to get a real mix of travelers in there. It's not just like frequent flyers.
So like proper conversations.
Exactly. They're aiming for that rich, nuanced feedback. It's less about ratings and more about understanding the why. What are the recurring frustrations? What needs aren't being met? Things a simple survey might just skim over.
Okay. So that gives them the deep qualitative stuff.
You got it. But obviously that's small scale. So, to get the big picture, they also do these really broad market surveys.
Ah, the quantitative side.
Right. These go out everywhere, email, their mobile apps, sometimes even those little tablets on the plane. Reaches way more people.
Okay, and what are they asking in those? Is it just rate your flight 1 to 5?
Some of that, sure,
Hmm.
but it's more detailed. They dig into the actual flight experience, of course, but also stuff like pricing transparency. Do people feel nickel and dimed, or is it clear up front?
Oh, that's a big one.
Huge. And just overall service satisfaction, booking to baggage claim, all this data helps them figure out priorities. Like, should we launch that route people keep asking for, or maybe invest in upgrading the seats?
Makes sense. You need both the detail and the scale. But okay, collecting all that, that's one thing. Making sense of it, especially all those comments, that sounds like a nightmare. How does tech play into this?
Yeah, this is where it gets pretty clever. They use advanced analytics tools, obviously. These can process the structured stuff from surveys, the ratings, the multiple choice pretty easily, spot trends, see overall sentiment.
But the open-ended comments, the focus group transcripts.
That's the tricky part, and that's where NLP comes in natural language processing.
Right, teaching computers to understand language.
Basically, yeah. This tech can scan thousands of comments, figure out the main topics being discussed, even gauge the emotion, positive, negative, neutral. It means they don't miss the gold that might be buried in all that text.
So it's not just counting keywords, it's actually understanding the meaning.
Pretty much. It gets quite sophisticated. And then this is important. They integrate all this feedback data with their CRM systems.
Customer relationship management.
Yeah.
The big database of customer info.
Exactly. So they can link feedback to actual customer profiles. This lets them personalize communication way better, maybe offer targeted promotions based on past feedback or travel patterns.
So if I complain about Wi-Fi, maybe I get an email about improvements. Or if I always fly to Florida.
That's the kind of thing, yeah. And to keep things moving fast, they use real-time dashboards.
Okay.
Think of these as live reports. Different teams, operations, marketing, customer service can see feedback trends pretty much instantly. If there's a sudden spike in complaints about, say, boarding procedures at a specific airport,
They can see it and react quickly.
right, it allows for much faster responses and hopefully quicker improvements. No waiting for a quarterly report.
That sounds incredibly useful. Okay, so let's talk about the results then. The rubber hitting the road. Can we point to specific things? JetBlue changed because of all this listening.
Oh, absolutely. Some really visible examples. Think about seating comfort,
Uh-huh.
the whole Even More Space program, offering extra legroom. That came about because passengers consistently said, we need more room. It was a major feedback point.
I can believe that,
Ah.
especially on longer flights.
Totally. And the free Wi-Fi on all flights. Huge investment.
That was a big deal when they rolled that out.
And again, driven by massive customer demand for connectivity. People wanted to be online, and JetBlue listened and, well, delivered. It's a direct line from feedback to a major service upgrade.
Okay, so seats and Wi-Fi. What else?
It's not just the big hardware things. Feedback from those focus groups, the more detailed chats, has influenced customer service training, how crews interact with passengers, how problems are resolved.
The softer skills.
Exactly. And even things like the food and drink options, they tweak those based on suggestions and preferences that come up in feedback. They also work hard on refining communication. Are they responding clearly and quickly enough on social media or through customer support? That feedback loop helps train those teams too.
It really feels like they're trying to close the loop, not just collect data for the sake of it. So, beyond reacting to feedback, what about being proactive? How do they try to keep satisfaction high from the get-go?
Good question. They definitely have strategies for that. One major pillar is that pricing transparency we mentioned.
Right, the fair options. Blue Basic, Blue Plus.
Yeah, trying to give people choices and make it clear what's included. Avoiding that gotcha moment with fees later on builds trust.
Definitely. What else?
Personalization is another angle, offering things like seat selection choices, flexibility with changes. It makes the experience feel less rigid, more tailored.
That flexibility is key. Plans change.
For sure. And they keep investing in tech to smooth out the journey. Mobile check-in, flight updates pushed to your phone, baggage tracking, reducing friction points wherever they can.
Little things that make a big difference to stress levels.
Absolutely. And of course, there's the loyalty program, TrueBlue, rewarding repeat customers with points, perks, exclusive offers. That's a classic way to encourage loyalty and make people feel valued.
So it's a mix. Clear pricing, choice, tech convenience, and loyalty rewards. Sounds solid. But, it can't all be smooth sailing. What are the big challenges they face trying to keep everyone happy? Because air travel,
Yeah.
it's complicated.
Well, it's definitely a constant battle. For one, passenger expectations just keep rising, right? What was wow 5 years ago is just baseline now.
True, free Wi-Fi used to be amazing. Now it's almost expected.
Exactly. And there's always the tightrope walk between keeping fares affordable, which is part of their brand, and paying for all these premium services and investments. It costs money to offer more legroom or better snacks.
Yeah, that cost-benefit analysis must be ongoing.
Constantly. Plus, just managing the sheer volume of feedback, especially during peak times or disruptions, is tough. It puts a strain on their systems and their people, needs ongoing investment in tech and training.
And then there's stuff they can't control.
Right. Weather delays, air traffic control issues, staffing shortages that affect the whole industry, rising fuel costs, intense competition. All these external factors throw curveballs.
So they're dealing with all that, plus trying to act on feedback.
Yep. But the point is, having that robust feedback system helps them navigate those challenges better. It gives them direct insight into what matters most to passengers, even when things go wrong.
That makes sense. It helps prioritize during tough times. So looking long-term then, how do they try and build real loyalty, not just satisfaction on one flight?
Ultimately, it boils down to consistency and relationship building, creating positive travel experiences again and again. That transparency piece is huge for long-term trust. Avoiding hidden fees, being upfront. They also engage regularly newsletters, social media, those personalized offers, keeping the connection alive outside of just booking a flight.
Keeping the brand top of mind.
And making customers feel like part of a community almost. And then there are proactive things like their customer bill of rights.
Ah, yes, I've heard of that.
By outlining commitments for handling delays, cancellations, overbookings, they're setting expectations and demonstrating accountability. It shows they take fairness seriously. That builds a lot of trust over time.
Taking ownership, even when things are difficult, that's pretty powerful. Okay, before we wrap up, always love a surprising nugget. Our source material mentioned a fast fact. What was it?
Yeah, this is interesting. A passenger satisfaction survey from 2023 specifically highlighted JetBlue's performance in two key areas, in-flight entertainment and seat comfort. They ranked really high there.
Okay, aligns with what we discussed about Wi-Fi and legroom.
Exactly. But here's the kicker. 85%. 85% of the people surveyed cited those specific features, entertainment, and comfort as key reasons why they choose to fly JetBlue.
Wow. So not just nice to have, but actual decision drivers for a huge majority.
Precisely. It directly connects those feedback-driven improvements we talked about, like even more space and the Wi-Fi, to why customers pick them. It really validates their approach.
That's fantastic proof that listening pays off. Okay, so if we boil it all down.
It really seems like JetBlue has built this quite sophisticated ecosystem for listening across different channels using tech smartly.
But crucially, they actually use it. They translate the listening into tangible action that improves the service.
Yeah, and that action seems to directly foster that customer loyalty they're aiming for. It's a cycle. Listen, act, improve, build loyalty, repeat.
It really is a powerful model. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other businesses, maybe in completely different sectors, could benefit from really leaning into listening like that?
Absolutely. Or even just in our own interactions.
Yeah.
The simple power of genuinely hearing what someone else is saying. Food for thought.
Definitely. Well, this has been a fascinating look under the hood at JetBlue. Thanks for digging into this with me.